oh my God, that was really cool. First time hearing this. That's what I wanted. That is an excellent vocal exercise. I'm going to steal that. Put in so much work. I'd love to work with you. Kia ora and welcome. My name's Zoe Stebe and I'm your vocal coach for today. Today, we're going to be having a look at MIIA with Cork with Dynasty. No idea who this artist is. This looks epic. I'm just excited to see what she's up to with her vocal technique. Let's get straight to it.
It's hard to see if I was a fool or you a thief. Made it through the maze to find my one in a million. But now you're just a page torn from the story I'm living.
I do not know if this is 100% live, but do you know what? I don't even care because this is a gorgeous arrangement. I'm a sucker for an orchestral version. Let's just listen to that again. She sounds very young. Got thicker vocal folds with a little bit of breath coming through.
Some days it's hard to see if I was a fool or you a thief.
She's very, very quiet. If I was a fool or you a thief. She's doing a lot of out breath there at the end of those phrases. It's a great way to color the sound. If you're so like, oh, I've just had enough of what was going on. Low volume, excellent place to start.
Some days it's hard to see if I was a fool or you a thief. Made it through the maze to find my one in a million.
So we've got like a made it through the, so at the beginning you hear ba da da da, a little bit of that thicker vocal fold with the breath coming through. Made it through the closed vocal folds. Now we're still in chest voice, okay? So just because it's quiet does not mean that it is no longer made it through the mist to find. On the F sharp 4 there. So that's very much in that female chest voice quality. Now the brightness of the sound is probably coming from, I don't know, MIIA from, you know, like from a bar of soap. So she sounds young from the sound of that brightness to the timbre.
One in a million. But now you're just a page torn from the story I'm living.
So now just a page drawn from the story I'm living in. Can you hear that sort of like hooty sound? So that's down on the A flat 3 there, the A flat below middle C. She's gone into a falsetto there, and that is why we have that slightly hootier sound rather than story I'm living in. Both are right. Both are just a coloring technique. It would be up to the artist to decide which one, and this is beautiful.
From the story I'm living. And all I gave you is gold. Down but like it was done.
Okay, I'm not sure about that. Something's not going on right. I'm not here to critique any of the music. Something's not sitting right with that change. That was a bit jarring for my little brain there. So forgive me. I would need to look that again. So we're up on the B4. That is still within the chest voice register. We're seeing sort of an increase in this. I don't know the words, yeah? But we've got the thyroid tilt increasing, and that's going to help us to go further up in the range. The thyroid is here where the vocal folds live. And when we tilt the thyroid as we're going further up in the range, it helps us to keep those vocal folds closed, helps to take the chest voice higher.
But now you're just a page torn from
Oh my God, that was really cool. I think that was right. Again, first time hearing this. That is an excellent vocal exercise. I'm going to steal that. That is stunning. Let's listen to that again. Again, a little bit jarring. Something's going on in the harmony there in the orchestra, but it's got nothing to do with their vocal technique in that moment.
And all I gave is gone. Down by like it was done.
So just have to talk a little bit about the tongue. Because you sort of saw a hollow. I don't know why I just did that, because I'm like, my tongue doesn't hollow in that part of my range. You saw sort of hollowing out of the tongue. Let's just watch that again.
And all I gave is gone.
You saw it. I know you saw it. Yeah. So that hollowing out of the tongue, that could be due to two different things. That could be due to a slightly shorter tongue root. So when we sing higher in the range, the tongue root will need to sort of like take back a little bit of the tongue in order to allow the larynx to go down slightly to sing higher. Seems counterintuitive, I know, because the larynx does need to raise for pitch, but it's part of our like human nature to stop us from choking. So it does take the larynx down a little bit. We cannot stop it from doing that, okay? That's why in some singers you see a hollowing out of the tongue. Second thing could be due to the vowel. It doesn't seem to be affecting MIIA's voice in any type of way of like scratching or anything like that. It'll be up to the singer to say, hey, I'm not feeling very comfortable in that moment, and then we would change it. But if nothing's broken, like we don't try and fix it, right? Because yeah, it's nothing wrong with it. We'll look at that in our technique classes. Yeah, we're seeing an increase in this facial expression here. I think that's more to do with the acting than actual vocal effort going on. Cool. So again, I am not like never, ever, ever in any of my videos am I poo-pooing anyone. I know what happens in these videos, and singers come to me and they're like, hey, MIIA's doing this. What's she doing? That's the whole purpose. Okay. So when I'm saying that at the end, make, she sort of brought the jaw slightly further forward. Now I'm obviously overdoing it so that you can see it. Let's watch that again. She's doing it very slightly.
Thought we build a dynasty like nothing ever made. Thought we build a dynasty forever couldn't recall.
So that could be due to a whole host of different things. I'm not MIIA's singing teacher, but I don't really want that to be happening in a lot of singing. Make. Sometimes we're taught that to go lower in the range, and that would be about creating more space within the pharynx here. That could be also a way to compensate for her for having a slightly weak tongue. Okay, that could be the reason why the jaw comes forward. Could also be, I know it's like so many maybes, could also be due to that's just way that she's always done it, and no one's kind of told her otherwise, and it's a compensation of when she's going lower. So I want you to be practicing in front of the mirror when you're doing these sorts of things. We don't want the jaw to be jutting forward, but again, could be due to a weak tongue. And that is why I make sure with all of my singing students that we really work from day one about tongue building exercises, because the tongue is so integral when it comes to learning to sing and improving your singing voice. So if you want my free tongue exercises, then you can download them in the description below. But hell, if you're like, Zoe, I don't need another freebie. I really just want to improve my tone and like sing louder and clearer. The singers that we've been working on with the tongue strengthening exercises have just been reporting huge improvements in their voices, and you don't even sing while you're doing the exercises. You can do them absolutely anywhere. I do my exercises while I'm making my coffee. So you can sign up for lessons down in the description below, and you get access to all of our tongue building exercises straight away inside the Vocal Academy. Let's keep watching. This is a stunning recording.
The scar I can't reverse. When the more it heals, the worse. someone so distant.
Perfect. Can you hear when she's going, someone so distant? She's going quieter, but also adding a little bit of breath. And that's because it's quite low in her vocal range. Now, I know, come at me in the comments. I'm sure people saying like, oh, she can go way low. I'm sure she can. Fantastic. Good for her. But everyone needs to add a bit of breath when they're going further in the down in the range. So, going from that thicker vocal fold into that breathier, thicker vocal fold. Just a really lovely coloring technique in order to make those changes in the sound.
Be so close to someone so distant. And all I gave you is gold. Someone like it was done. Though we build a dynasty that heaven couldn't shake. Though we build a dynasty like nothing ever made. Though we build a dynasty forever couldn't break. It all fell down, all fell down.
Wow, this sounds so like epic. And I mean, everything sounds epic when you get an orchestra involved. So you can hear just a slight amount of sort of like rasp or whatever you want to call it, a little bit of crackle coming into her voice. That could be due to so many different things. Could be like a dusty room. It could be that she really wants that in there. I'd want someone to focus on making that with and without, but we'd want it to be a coloring technique and not something that's always in the voice, because especially when we're not feeling very well or we're maybe singing on a tired voice, we would need to be able to take some of that crackle out, because that is often due to slightly more pressure than is kind of optimal, which is absolutely fine in a performance setting if you know how to manage it. But a lot of the time singers kind of add it in and they have no idea how to take it back out again. I love this riff here. It wasn't a riff, like this passage.
Heaven couldn't shake. Though we build a dynasty like nothing ever made. Though we build a dynasty forever couldn't break. It all fell down, all fell down.
Can you hear? It all fell down. These little short breaths. Now, I know that probably goes against everything that you know about breathing for singing. And that's absolutely fine, because a lot of breathing for singing shit out there is just, well, it's shit, and it doesn't go into the nuance that talks about breathing for singing. When we've got these firstly, shorter phrases, we don't need a lot of breath. And secondly, it's quite hard. We all fell. So that's why that shorter, sharp, high breath really, really helps for us. Because we can kind of, it helps for these higher phrases. We can keep basically the setup here completely normal. We can keep it in the same place. And we're just breathing to kind of like add that little bit extra energy to the sound. Breath is the battery for our singing voice.
It all fell down, all fell down. It all fell down, all fell down. It all fell down, all fell down. It all fell down. Now again it is gone. Someone like it was done.
Okay, so I am not MIIA's singing teacher. This looks like she's singing very, very loudly, and it's not quite matching what's going on from what I'm hearing in the sound. So we'll take it as a live performance. But that little scratch that's coming into the voice, again, it could be a coloring technique. It sounds really lovely. This could also be too the tongue position going lower, because you can hear in this section, we can also see the tongue is in quite a low position. It's almost really hollowing out. Now, I said that could be due to a slightly shorter tongue root. But that could also be to that she's really hollowing out the tongue due to that lack of tension in the tongue, and also due to the vowel, which can then push on the vocal, push on the larynx. So I don't know what I'm doing here. This is the larynx. The tongue pushes on the larynx this. And that's actually what creates that crackle. And it can actually create a lot of unnecessary need for energy. You can see she's really going at it there.
All fell down. It all fell down. All fell down. It all fell down. All fell down. It all fell down.
Can you hear? Oh, founder! She went into that, that would be what we would call a yell belt when we go into that, sound. Tends to be that you're sort of landing on the note. The vocal folds are thicker than thick, got a very straight tone. Now we're seeing a couple of times the tongue's actually coming further forward than the bottom of the teeth. That's not really necessary. Again, I'm not going to say it again. Like, honestly, if you think that I'm poo-pooing any type of singer, then yeah, that's not the case at all. Then you don't know me. I'm not just one of those vocal coaches. This is not my opinion. It's like actually what I would work on with singers in terms of like their technique. Yeah. When the tongue is needing to come further forward, that's due to a lot of other compensations that are going on. We do really need to strengthen the tongue.
It all fell down. All fell down. It all fell down. Negative is gone. Tumble like it was stone. Thought we built a dynasty that heaven couldn't shake. Thought we built a dynasty like nothing else.
So I do like that she's bringing those lips forward. That is going to help us to lift the soft palate. Although the lips are not directly connected with the soft palate, something like really fantastic and strange that happens in singers, we do bring the lips forward. It does help to lift it, to help us to sing louder and higher. I'm not loving the posture in this position, the shoulders coming forward. There could be much, much more use of an expansive gesture, the shoulders going back and down, to use those back muscles for these higher notes. I think it would make it easier. Obviously, that makes for a slightly cleaner vocal when it comes out on the recording, but you know, that's sort of, we're looking at a snapshot here, and I'd be looking in terms of like long-term vocal awareness. I love the way that she's changing her vowels as well to stay within the vocal quality. She's break up. She's doing it up and stiffen up, because also, you know, it is about making it your own. So you can use whatever vowels you want, right? But that can help us to stay in that thicker vocal fold. Break up, to use more of that vowel rather than going into that up. Again, depending on what sort of vowel is your favorite as well. I love modifying vowels when it comes to singing. It can make it much, much easier. It just depends on what sort of style of singing you're doing. Obviously in pop, we can modify vowels, musical theater, and classical, like less so. That's what I wanted. I wanted a little bit of twang, and I wanted an increase in the closure above the level of the vocal. All I gave you was God. On that E flat 5 there. All I gave you was God. We needed that. You could hear that. We've got tension in the tongue again. I feel like the slightly crackly sound is coming from maybe too wide of an opening with the mouth. That will also push down the larynx. So if you just think, like, put your finger here on your larynx and open your mouth really wide, that's going to push down the larynx. So it's not about there isn't like an optimal mouth opening. We want the mouths to be like slightly about a finger width apart. And obviously when you're in the middle of a song and you're going higher, you are going to want to open up a little bit in order to increase that pharyngeal space. The pharynx is this bit at the back of the mouth, but I feel like in some spaces, maybe there is a slight over opening, which could be the reason why when she's gone higher in the range and she's fell down, she's being forced to flip into that breathier quality and unable to stay in that thicker vocal fold. Now, again, MIIA can do whatever she wants. She's an artist. I experience this in my studio every single day, and this is a stamina issue. And at the end of a song, because of the stamina issue that comes in, technique is paramount.
Oh, it all fell down.
Can we hear that? She had to squeeze a little bit to get there. Fell down. And I feel like the arse drops out of the song when we start to have the build up, and then we're switching into a fluffier vocal quality because we have to. She shouldn't have to. She's a beautiful singer, got a great voice. We could just make some little tweaks within the vocal technique. She's just done it. All I gave you when she's gonna do it.
It all fell down. All fell out. It all fell down. Now I gave you a scar.
Tongue position. MIIA, you are a fantastic singer. You're amazing. You've put in so much work. I'd love to work with you on this exact thing. Let's work on the tongue position. Let's work on that jaw position to help you make this easier.
Thought we built a dynasty forever couldn't break up.
Oh, fabulous. I just love that. I absolutely love seeing singers just do fantastic things. Look at that performance. It is absolutely good. How old is she? Okay, so she's been around for a long time. The song actually came out 10 years ago, which is very, very cool. Beautiful song. I just can't believe this 17-year-old. I mean, obviously I can believe it. I see this in my studio all the time of singers writing their songs, really just when we're connected with our feelings, we've connected through writing and through sharing our experiences, we can write lyrics like that. So I can believe it. I just think it's so gorgeous, and what a wonderful melody as well that she created. So when we're looking at these types of things, what I said about the end of the song, often singers feel like they don't have a choice in the vocal qualities that they're using or that they're making because of this thing called stamina. So stamina is about when you're singing a song for this is quite a long song. How long was that? 4 minutes. I mean, it's like a marathon, right, for singing. So when we're singing for 4 minutes at this like quite high level, excuse me, just while those police cars go by, I don't know what's it about. Not for me anyway. When we're singing a sort of like high belty sort of sound for a lot, she wasn't really belting, but we were in this thicker vocal fold further on the range. I mean, kind of up on that B. So when we are staying in this higher sort of effort, let's call it effort vocal fold closure, the vocal folds can, just like when we're running, our muscles get tired, our vocal folds can get tired as well. And so we're wanting to use our technique in order to get around that vocal fatigue that can come around. And it's also about working on this and working on this. What is this? Like singing for longer periods of time, but also training, for example, like walking on the spot. Obviously, MIIA's been doing this for a really long time. So I'm not saying that there's anything to do with, well, it could be to do with her vocal stamina. I don't know. I'd love to see her singing this song in a different situation. It could also be just on the day she was vocally a little bit tired. So we're always going to give someone a bit of grace, but I would still love to work with you, MIIA. If you do watch this video, I'd love to work with you on strengthening those tongue muscles, guys. See how it would really, really help. And to match, sometimes what we need to do is to give the larynx a little bit more of the tongue when we sing higher in the range, and that can really help to boost the resonance and take a lot of the effort away from our sound. So much to go off. Oh my goodness me. If you're interested in learning anything about so much that I talked about in this video, which part, Zoe? But if you want to start going back to the start, you can apply for singing lessons down in the description below. I'd love to hear from you. We are accepting new students into our 2026 cohort of Vocal Academy students. You get masterclasses as well as practice groups and one-to-one singing lessons. And we have a fantastic team of teachers to learn from because we're all like obsessed about singing. Anyway, I've never looked at MIIA before, so I'm going to put up something really similar up here so you can keep on learning with your vocal technique. Have an awesome rest of your day. Just remember, anyone can learn to sing. Happy practicing, Kaki channel.